Hello and welcome to another modeling tutorial. Today we are doing an earpiece inside of Blender. So let's get into it. I have my Blender open. I'm using Blender 3.2. So we go to General. Then we have our cube, our light, and then our camera as usual. Before we do away with our cube, let's do a little bit of settings that will help our life that will help make our life a bit easier later on. So what we want to do is first change our face orientation. So if I go here, first let me tab into edit mode, hit 3 for face select mode, and then delete this face here. So if I go here and then I do face orientation, you can see we have this red and then blue here. So let's change it in the preference in the themes so that we can make it a little bit useful. So let's make sure we have our face orientation picked. And then let's go to edit, preference, and then let's go to our themes. Let's locate our 3D viewport. Now let's scroll down till we find our face orientation back. So we change the color. So for the back, we change the color. We bring down the alpha. And then let's find some useful color. And then for the front, we bring down the alpha to 0 so that we have this. So now next let's go to add-ons and then let's enable loop tools. So L loop, and then make sure we've checked this box here to enable it. So now whenever we have a back facing normals, we can easily identify it with these colors here and then here. So that's it. Let me jump out of edit mode and then hit delete to delete our default cube. Thank you very much, default cube. So next, let's hit this here to go to our right orthographic view. And then let's locate our reference image. I'm going to drag and drop it inside. I'll do G and then I'll place it somewhere here. I will hit this Y here to go to our back orthographic view. With our reference image selected, I will make a duplicate. So to do that, we do Shift D to create a new duplicate in place. Then we do Z. We do rotate on the Z axis 90 degrees like this. Now let's do G to bring it somewhere here in place. So what we have to do next is to add a little bit of opacity to our reference images. So we do and then lock them in place so that we don't move them. So to do that, we select our reference image, go to our objects, object data properties, we take opacity and then let's bring it down to somewhere here. Let's untick this perspective. And then when we go into perspective, it will be hidden. And then when we go back to our orthographic view, we'll come back again. So let's do the same for this, the right one. So we take opacity and then we bring it down like this and then we check perspective. So I'll do Alt and I'll go to my left orthographic, you see our image. And then this is the right orthographic, we see our image. And then when we go to back, we see our image as well. So next, let's select these two images and let's go here, restriction toggle, let's toggle this selection and then let's take these two. So now we cannot select them again. Next, let's add our first shape. So we'll do Shift A, mesh, and then we can add a circle. Let's pop this menu up here and then let's change the alignments to view. And let's change the vertices to 10. Okay. Now let's decrease the radius a little. It's a bit bigger. Okay. Something like this. We can do G. Then we can move it in place. Make sure it fits our reference image a little better. Now let's jump into edit mode. Edge select mode. And then let's hold and drag these edges here. And then let's do G, Z to bring it down a bit to somewhere here. So you can see our reference image is a bit tilted, but then we are going to do everything straight and then we tilt it later in the video. So let me jump out of edit mode. Let me jump out of orthographic into perspective. Make sure everything is selected, and then let's do E for extrude. Then we extrude it on the Y axis like this. Let's extrude it inside a bit. So let's go to our right orthographic view, and then let's make sure we uncheck this to make it selected again, and let's do G to bring it a bit in place like this. Yeah, it's fine. So let's go and check it once again so that we are not able to move it. So now let me select my shape, jump into edit mode, make sure we have our edge select mode. Right, we are going to add some few loop cuts in the middle. So we do Control R and we scroll to 3. So we add 3 loop cuts here, and we do the same for here as well. Now let's do Alt click to select this entire loop. Go into our right orthographic view. I'll do E, then Z. Sorry, Y to extrude it on the Y axis. So we bring it somewhere here. You can turn on your X-ray mode so that you can see through if you want. I'll do S, and then I'm going to scale it until I have something like this. We do the same for the front. So we select E, and then we do Z, we do Y to extrude it on the Y axis like this to bring it somewhere here. And then let's do S to scale it in a bit. So I'll select this entire shape. I'll do G and then bring it in until it lines up with this line here. Okay, so we have something like this going on. Let me turn off my X-ray mode. So this is what we have. Next, let's alt click to select this loop here, and then let's do E and then S to scale it in a bit like this. Okay, so next let's grid fill everything. We'll go to select, we go to our faces, and then grid fill. So now we have a grid fill here. Let's create the circle at the back. So let me turn on X-ray mode. So this kind of circle here, a little. Okay, now to do that, we're going to face select mode by hitting 3, and then let's select these 6 faces here. Let's do I to extrude it inside. Okay, but before we do that, let me undo, and then let's shape up this side a bit. So we do 1 for edge select mode. I'll do GG, then I'll bring it down. I'll select this GG, then slide it down. I'll do GG, and then slide this one down like this a bit, so that it's a bit easier. So let's select our faces once again. So I'll quickly select these 4 faces. I'll do I for insert. I'll bring it in a little bit. All right, click for my loop tools, and then we go to circle to create this nice circle. I'll do S to scroll it inside a bit like this. So now let's do our extrusion. So I'll quickly do E to extrude it inside one like this, and then I'll do E to extrude it once again. I'll do E once again, S, and then bring it up like this. Now I'll do E, extrude it up like this. I'll do E, S. So we have something like this. So at this point, let's quickly turn on our subdivision surface so that we can see what we have our shape pretty well. So I'll go to my add modifiers tab. I'll scroll to my subdivision surface, and then I'll tick to turn it on. I'll add levels, viewport to 2, so that we can see everything clearly. So I'll turn the levels viewport to 2. so that we can see how smooth our surface is. I'll right click and then I'll shade it smooth. So this is what we have now. You can always make changes if you want. Right. Next, let's go to the font and then let's fill that place in again. So I'll tab into edit mode. I'll make sure I tick here so that we don't see a subdivision into edit mode. So when I hit tab, we see a subdivision, but then when we are modeling, we don't. Okay, so I'll make sure our face edge select mode is active by hitting 2, and then I'll do alt click to select this entire loop here, and then let's do E for extrude, and then S to scale it in, to scale our extrusion in, and let's fill it in with our grid fill once again. So we can leave the span at 2 and then offset at 0, so that we have this nice grid fill going on here. So we do the same thing we did at the back in the front for the place where our earphone is going to intersect with that ear. So this place here. So I'll make sure I have my vertex select mode, and then I'll do the same adjustments. I'll do G twice. I'll scroll and bring it up like this. G twice. Do the same for here. Then G twice to bring this here like this. So we have something like this going on. I'll hit 3 to my face select mode, and then I'll hold shift, click on these faces here. Okay, and then we do I to insert it in once, and right click, go to our loop tools, and then do circle. Okay, can do S to bring it in like this. Then we do G and then Y to bring it up on the Y axis somewhere here. Okay, and then we can do Y to extrude it on the Y axis to somewhere here. Let's see. Let's extrude it a bit. So we can do G and then Y to bring it up to somewhere here. Yeah, that's fine. Then let's do Control R to add a loop cut in the middle. And then let's do Control B to bevel our loop cuts like this. And then let's do Alt E. And then we extrude it along normals so that we can add one extrusion. Alt E once again, and then add another extrusion like this. So we create this kind of shape here. So let's select these faces 3, and let's do I to insert. Okay, and then we can do E to extrude it inside like this. So tab out of edit mode. This is what we have. Tab into edit mode. Once again, let's do alt click. Make sure we have our edge select mode selected, and let's select this entire edge loop by doing alt click. Right, and then we do Control B to bevel, add an extra loop cut, and then hold P and drag so that we have this kind of straight bevel here. Tab out of edit mode so that it sharpens this edge right here. Okay, so next let's create our foam. To do that, we are going to steal this geometry here. Okay, so we do Shift D to duplicate, P to separate by selection, right click, A, tab out of edit mode into object mode, and then let's select our duplicated object, this one here. Then let's do S to scale it. Let's jump into edit mode, alt click to select everything. Let's do S to scale it up a bit, and then let's look at our reference image. Let's do G and let's bring it inside like this. Okay, and then let's extrude it out. Let's do E, and then let's extrude it out. So as you can see right here, our face orientation is being flipped, so the inside is looking out. So to fix this, we can do A to select everything, and then let's do Alt N and then we do flip so that we have a proper face orientation, as you can see. Okay, so let's do E. No, sorry. Let's select this loop once again. And let's do E to extrude it out like this. And let's do S to bring it in. And then let's ES once again. Then E, bring it inside. And then S. So we have something like this, as you can see. So let's select everything and then let's scale it up a bit. Then let's do Alt E to extrude faces along normals. Then we extrude it out like this. So to see what we have, you can we extrude it out like this. Let's jump into edit mode so that we can see. Right click and then let's shade it smooth. So this is what we have here. And jump into edit mode once again. Let's alt click to select this loop and do S to scale it up a bit. We can add loop cuts, Control R, then add few loop cuts here to hold our form a bit. Let's hit slash to isolate just this shape, and then let's alt click on this loop here, then Control B to bevel. Okay, alt click. I'm just adding a few supporting loops inside to hold our form a little. You can do the same for the inside if you want. I think it's fine. I'll hit slash to bring back my entire shape, and I think we are fine with this shape. So I can do A to select everything. And then let's do S, Y. Maybe I can bring it in a bit. I think I'm cool with my shape. Let's jump out of edit mode. And then next, let's create this line here. So this kind of line that is passing through here. I'll go into edit mode once again. I'll make sure we have X-ray mode selected. And then I'll do Control R to add an extra loop cut right here. Okay, and then let's have our face select mode. Make sure we have our X-ray mode selected so that we'll be able to select the front and back of our shape. So next, let's with our X-ray mode selected, and let's click. Let's hit W until we have this, and then let's drag up to this point here, and then make sure I have this part also selected as well. So now you can see we have both sides selected. That's because we have our X-ray turned on. Okay, so next what we have to do is to turn off our X-ray for a bit, and then do I for insert. Then we are going to insert it inside like this. So we have an insertion inside, and then we can go to our tweak mode, do Control R, and then let's add a loop cut right at the middle like this. Let's do Control B to bevel our loop cut. Make sure we have just two cuts here, and then we can do Alt E to extrude faces along normals so that we can add our extrusion. So I'm just doing two loop cuts. Let me tap out of edit mode so that we see what we have. So this is what we have here. as you can see. Okay, you can always increase the subdivision to make it more smoother if that's what you're going for. So let's quickly add some few supporting loops to bring up our form even more. So I'll do Control R, and then I'll add one loop cut here. I'll bring it forward so that we have here. I'll do the same for this. Control R. Let's just scroll to add few loop cuts here, and then Control R once again. I'll add another one here. I'll bring it up like this. Okay. Yeah, we have this form going on for us. Next, let's create our wire. Okay. So to do that, we are going to make an extrusion from these 6 faces here. So let's go into our face select mode. Select these 6 faces here. We do I for insert. So we insert it inside a little bit. Then we do E to extrude it along their faces like this. And then we right click, go to our loop tool and do circle. Okay. Then we do S to scale it in. Right, like this. Okay. Let's scale it in even more. And then next, what we have to do is to do E to extrude it out. Let's do S to scale it in. Let's do Control R to add few loop cuts at the middle. Now our model is almost ready. Let's work on these faces here. So I'll go to my face select mode. Now do I to insert it with a bit inside like this. I'll do E to extrude it inside, and then I'll hit X to delete faces. So now we have this. To R, to R, just to hold the form a bit. Nice. So next, let's create our wire. So to do that, this is a good time to rotate our shape. So to do our rotation, we're going to need an empty. So we do Shift A, and then let's go to empty. Let's add a plane axis. So it's right at the middle. We hold Shift and then select everything so that our plane axis is the last shape active. I'll do Control P, and then we do set parents. We do keep transform. I always do that. And then now we can rotate our empty. Do R. We can rotate our empty like this, and everything will rotate with it, along with it, nicely. So next, let's add our rope. To do that, we are going to use curves for that. We'll go to curves, and then let's go to curves, and then let's add a path. Okay, so we have this path here. We can decrease the radius a bit, or let's maintain the radius. So let's rotate it on the y-axis 90. We have this. Next, let's try and align it so that it's inside our shape. So we'll do G. Let's bring it here. I'll do G once again and bring it down. Yeah, so we have something like this. So to make this a wire, all we have to do is go to where they selected. We go to our object data properties. We go to geometry, and then we go to our bevel. Then we add depth. to it. Okay, we have date to it, and we have our where. Do GUXZ to bring it down even a bit more. So now we have one piece of our earpiece. Next, we have to create a duplicate and then mirror it on the right side to get the next piece of our mirror. Sorry, to get the next piece of our earpiece. So I'll jump out of object mode. I'll select everything. And then I'll do Shift D to create a duplicate. And I'll bring it somewhere here. So let's select our wire. This wire, make sure it's parented to our empty as we did earlier on. So select our wire, hold shift and click on our empty. We do Control L. So do Control L. Nope. Sorry, Control P. Do Control P. Then we keep transform. Let's do the same for this. Duplicate. Control P. Keep transform. Now we are going to mirror our axis on the Y axis like this. So let's select mirror, and then we are going to mirror it on the Z axis like this, so that we have our next pair. We have this and then this. So we are done with our modeling. Let's quickly add some few materials to it, and then we can our lights, our materials, and then we can render. Okay, so I'm going to hold and drag to add another workspace here. I'll bring this up like this. Okay, so that we image, we have this here to work with. Then we change this to our shader editor quickly. Then we hit on this to toggle the camera view. I'll scroll it in a bit. I'll hit T to hide this shape here. We are not going to need it. Then let's hit N. And then we go to view, and then we lock camera to view. Hit N once again. So now our camera is locked in place. We can play around with our shape however we want. Okay, so next let's do Control A. Let's add a play. Let's do S. Let's scale it up, and let's rotate it on the x-axis 90. And then let's do G, and then let's bring it back like this. Okay, we can turn off all these highlights. You are not going to need them, so that we can focus solely on our object like this. So let's go to our render properties. Let's change our render engine to cycles. Let's change it to GPU compute here. Now we can see what's going on. I'll scroll and then I'll hit render to render my viewport shading. Okay, I'll go to my shader editor. I'll change it from object to world. We are not going to use an HDRI this time, so I'll just hit here and then I'll unlink from our surface. So now everything is black. Let's quickly add some lights. I'll do Control Shift A, and then I'll quickly add an aerial light. Do S to scale it up. Then let's do Z to bring it up like this. So you can even scale it up a bit more. Now let's increase the power. So go to our light power. Let's increase it to something like 1000 watts. So we have this something going on a bit. Let me select this and then let's do G and let's bring it back a bit. So I'll select my lights, do S to scale it up even more so that we get softer shadows here. Let's do Shift D to duplicate our light. Let's bring it somewhere here. And then let's point it towards this side. You can obviously play around with the lights as you see fit. So to continue, let's quickly add some materials. So I'll just rotate on the z-axis like this so that we can see our materials and everything. So let's quickly add some materials. I'll select my object here. I'll change it to object, and then I'll hit new to add a new material. I'll change the base color to something cool that I want. Okay, I'll make it metallic. Then I'll decrease the roughness a bit. So that I have my base material here. And then next, I'm going to select this side and then give it a different material, this entire side. So I'll make sure I have this selected. I'll tab into edit mode, and then I'm going to do alt click to select this entire loop all around. And let's go to our select. We go to select loop, and then we go select loop inner region, so that our inner region will be selected like this. So I'll add it to a vertex group like this, and then I'll assign. So we have this selection saved into our vertex group. I'll go into my materials property here, and then with this selected, I'll hit plus to add a new material, and then I'll hit assign to assign the new material to this shape, this selected shape. So I'll quickly do add a new material with this selected shape. I'll go to base color, and then I'll use my color picker to just pick something like this, a brighter version, obviously. And then let's decrease the roughness until we have something like this to go with. I'll tab out of edit mode, and this is what I have. It's nice and I'm happy with it. Let's add another material to this foam part here. There's going to be a transparent material, so I'll make sure I have it selected. I hit new, and then we can change our transmission to 1. So I have to make it transparent. Now I'm going to decrease my roughness so that we can see through a bit, and then I'm going to increase transmission roughness a bit that we can see through. It's not entirely transparent, but then you can see through. So we are going to do the same thing for this. So I'll hit shift select, and then select to make sure this is active. I'll do Control L, then I'll link materials like this, then shift select. I'll select this, shift select, do Control L, and then link materials again. And we can do the same thing we did for this side. Can go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to worry myself because it's going to make the tutorial very long. Anyway, let's just quickly do it for the fun of it. Okay, so I'll tab into edit mode, and then I'll do alt click to select this entire loop here. I'll go to my select, and then length, and then select loop inner region. Make sure this entire region is selected, and then I'll select this material and then hit assign to just assign this new material to it. Okay, we can do the same thing for this selection here. I'll hit 3, make sure I have this entire thing selected. I'll come to this material and then hit assign to assign it the same material as this one. Let's do the same for this so that you can see what I mean. Tab out of edit mode, select this one here, jump into edit mode once again, and then hit assign. Right click, I made a mistake. To the second material and then hit assign so that I have this second material here. I'll tab out of edit mode once again, Then our this thing is ready for render. You can obviously add few stuff to it to make your render pop. So I'm going to add an extra plane at this side so that I can fill in a little bit of shadow from this side. I'll do Shift D. Then let's do G and let's bring it somewhere here. I'll rotate it on the Z axis and T. Then as you can see, can use it to catch in a little bit of more light inside our scene. So I'll select this, right? Then I can do G and bring it in a bit. And then maybe I can move it down just to create some interesting composition. I can scale this up even more. So let's quickly set up our camera. I'm going to change my focal length to 200. Scroll. We can even add some cool shapes at the back. Rotate it. We can quickly add some cool shapes at the back just to add some interest. Let me do that real quick. Mesh. I'll add a UV sphere. I'll do Z to bring it back like this. Right click. I'll shade it smooth. And I'll do Shift D to create a duplicate here. I'll do S to scale it even up like this. And then I'll select this one. Do Shift D once again to bring it up. I'll do S to scale it even down. G to bring it somewhere here. Now let's add depth of field to our camera. So let's look for our camera. We select our camera here, and then we take depth of field. We select our eyedropper, and then we drop it on this empty here. And we have nice depth of field. Let's decrease the f-stop. Okay. We can add the material to you can add the material to our thread here. So let's do Shift, and then let's add the material. Let me quickly eyedrop this base color. It's a bit dark, so let me make it brighter. Nope, it's not going for me. So let's leave it at the white as it is. So let's add another light. I'm just playing around, so just play around and find what works best for you. Obviously, let's do G, bring it here. So this is the fun parts, the creative parts of the whole journey after you are done with your modeling and everything. So you can just play around and then find some cool renders, cool stuff here and there. You can bring this little brick back just to create even cool shallow depth of field and all. So after we are done with everything, you can go to our render settings, and then you go to our color management, and then maybe you can change the look to high contrast if you want. You can change from filmic to standard, but I'm going to leave it at filmic. Then maybe I can go to very high contrast, or maybe high contrast is fine. And then finally you can go to render and then render our final image here. Alright guys, so this is my final render. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and please consider subscribing. So to save this file, we go to save as, and as usual, PNG 16 compression, and save it on my desktop and rename it quickly. Yeah, and then I'll do save. Bye. See you on the next one. Peace out.